saying last time in the Tanya that we each have a dormant love for Hashem. Deep inside our neshama is a deep love for Hashem that's sleeping, and we inherit it from Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and we have to be able to wake it up in order to be able to do teshuvah, meaning a rasha cannot do hitbonenut. For a person who did a lot of sins, it's very hard for him to just meditate and psych himself up to serve Hashem. So what does he have to do? He has to wake up the hidden love, and the hidden, it's called in Yiddish, the pinteliyid, the small little Jew inside of you, to wake it up. How do you wake it up? So he says, so we have to explain the soul of Adam Rishon. He's a Tosefet Biur. We have to understand the pasuk in Mishlei, at Adam's soul is God's candle, which means we're all from Adam Rishon. All our souls were in Adam Rishon when he was before the sin of when he was in Gan Eden, and it's comparable to a flame of a candle. That what? Which by nature flickers up and down, up and down. So what does that mean? It means because fire naturally rises. So when the fire is burning and wants to go up, but at the same time, for the fire to continue to exist, it has to be attached to the wick. So it's like in the balance. It's constantly going up and down, up and down. Which means that it wants to connect with its root above, but it's still at the end of the day attached to its source, which is the wick. So that's why it flickers. He says, like it says in Etz Chaim. And even though by leaving the wick, the flame will be extinguished, and even though, right, the flame is going to leave, it's going to rise, it's not going to be a flame anymore, still, that's what it's naturally inclined to do. So too the soul of a person. So naturally we yearn and desire to be close and attached to Hashem, even though that means we'll be nullified and we'll be part of Hashem and we won't be ourselves anymore. We'll just be, with whatever Hashem gives us. Still, that's our desire. It says, nonetheless, just like the flame wants to rise, so to our neshama naturally wants to gravitate towards the Kadosh Baruch Hu, even though it means we're going to nullify ourselves. And he says that's what it means, that we're like a candle. And therefore what? So if our soul naturally is drawn towards Hashem, so why do people have a hard time serving Hashem? He says, and this is like a light and a chokhmah of Hashem that's inside of our soul, that naturally has a window. Our soul is our window towards Kadosh Baruch Hu. Still, this you have to make yourself a receptacle. You have to make yourself a container for it to be able to use the window, right? Ze klal b'kol sitra dekdusha she'eno ela neshama shenimshach mechokhma shenikra kodesh ha'elyon habatel metziut bar'or sof baruch hu or en sof baruch hu melubash bo. So he says that the root of the soul's intuition and faith is chokhmah, is wisdom, and the soul is not drawn naturally to its source because the soul has chokhmah, and its chokhmah is like the window allowing God's light into our soul. He says, but once that light came into your soul through its window, if the light is continue flowing, it's good. You have to, however, keep the window aligned. You have to keep this flow chokhmah going. But if you don't, Has Shalom, then it could be disconnected, Has Shalom, or then it won't be able to do what it naturally wants to do. He says, and that's why chokhmah is called the ability to say what? The power of what? It's the idea of opening. When you have ego and you think you know everything, you can't learn anything. You can't access to more information. But if you say what, if you allow yourself to say I don't know, if you act with no ego, so there's room for other things to come in. There's room for more understanding. So that's chokhmah. Chokhmah, wisdom, is saying the power of what? Saying I don't know. Let me learn. I want to learn more. I want to absorb more. I want to be open to more. Be open-minded. He says that the holiness basically is the source of all holiness. Is being void of identity and ego, right? The person, the more humble he is, the more able he is to connect to Hashem. He says, he says the opposite of kedusha is klipa. What's klipa? Selfishness. Let's say a person who's evil, or a person who has no sense of he has no compass of morality. What does he do? Everything's ego. Everything's selfish. If it's what's in it for me? If it serves me, good. If not, don't waste my time. And that's klipa. V'amrinan, like we say, the have. Like it says, give me, as leiteni, as Esav to say to Yaakov, give me, right? Liod yesh bedavar b'fnei atzmo k'niskal le'en. It's self-serving, and it's avodah zarah. What's avodah zarah? Avodah zarah, the bad part about it is, it's not just service of an idol. A lot of times people do it because it's service of the self. I like this religion because it's going to allow me to do what I want. It's going to allow me to be more comfortable and follow different laws and not have to be obligated to God. Right? All these avodah zaros are man-made. At the end of the day, man decided to serve these other religions, and the true revelation from God and the way of life is really what Hashem said. And if you think about it, they say that money today is the avodah zarah. And what is it? The money is the serving of the self. I do whatever the money says because I want more for myself. It says, the Gemara says, why did the Jews do Egel Zahav, the golden calf? Is because they wanted to permit arayot. When Moshe Rabbeinu told them that God said we're not allowed to be immoral, we have to have formal marriage, and we have forbidden relationships to ourselves, from via our aunts, our cousins, whatever it may be, they cried. Avodah zarah. What's avodah zarah? Avodah zarah. The bad part about it is it's not just service of an idol. A lot of times people do it because it's service of the self. I like this religion because it's going to allow me to do what I want. It's going to allow me to be more comfortable and follow different laws and not have to be obligated to God, right? All these avodah zaros are man-made. At the end of the day, man decided to serve these other religions, and the true revelation from God and the way of life is really what Hashem said. And if you think about it, they say that money today is the avodah zarah. And what is it? The money is the serving of the self. I do whatever the money says because I want more for myself. It says, the Gemara says, why did the Jews do Egel Zahav, the golden calf? Is because they wanted to permit arayot. When Moshe Rabbeinu told them that God said we're not allowed to be immoral, we have to have formal marriage, and we have forbidden relationships to ourselves, from via our aunts, our cousins, whatever it may be, they cried, the Gemara says. They cried when they heard this mitzvah. And the Arab Rav couldn't handle it, and they got upset. And they saw Moses was on the mountain for too long, and they saw this opportunity. This is our opportunity to change the law, make our own religion, break off, reform, and in our new reform, it will be permitted to do immorality. And that's their whole goal. That was their whole goal, the Gemara says. And therefore, when Moshe went up to Har Sinai to ask Hashem on Yom Kippur forgiveness, Salachti Kidvarecha, he was asking forgiveness. God, I'm sorry for us allowing ourselves to serve ourselves instead of serving you. We did Borei Pri Ishkam instead of Borei Pri Ha'etz. That's what we're asking Mechila for. So therefore, we have to realize that the all holiness stems from being able to say what, having a low ego, versus klipa is a high ego. That's why the forces of klipa are called dead. The Zohar says, Chokhmah gives you life. It makes you open to connect to more and to grow. And then in klipa, which you serve yourself, you're killing yourself. You're dying. You're less and less connected to your source. So therefore, only people who are wise and have humility are considered really alive, as opposed to the Rashaim, Poshei Israel, Kodem Shebao Leidei Nisayon Lekadesh Hashem, Ki B'chinat Chokhmah Shemesh Elokim, Nitzot Elokut Ma'or Ben Sof Baruch Hu, Milubashu Hem B'chinat Galut Begufam. So now, even though the sinners of Israel have a lot of klipa on them, we do see sometimes they give up their life for Hashem, right? Like you have people who are not religious at all, and they're willing to die for another Jew. They go and they fight in the army. They go and they give up their life for just to protect Am Yisrael and to die because he's a Jew. How does he do that? Because deep inside of every Jew, he has in him that chokhmah, that deep hidden wisdom inside of him, behind all the klipa. So therefore, a person has to know that deep down, every person can wake it up. Every person can have this chokhmah, and the question is now. So if it's never extinguished, it's never hidden. And a shegalut is just exiled. What's an exile? Let's say a person has a son, and he has to go make business in America, and he lives in Israel. So his son is exiled. His son feels far from him. He's there, he exists, but It's far from you. You have to make a big effort to connect to Him. Same thing with your soul. There's a part of your soul, even though there could be klipa covering it, there's a deep wisdom and humility and wanting to do what Hashem's will is, and that person is like exiled from himself. He has to reconnect to that and rekindle that connection within himself. Some people, they have, what is therapy? Therapy, you have a lot of problems mentally, and you struggle, and you didn't know why subconsciously something's bothering you, and the therapist helped you subconsciously realize something is inside of there. So same thing. Every person subconscious, deep inside of himself, has a deep love for Hashem. You just like in Yom Kippur, all right? Everybody's standing there. Everybody's on fire in that moment. Everybody's chokhmah, everybody's deep nefesh, elokid woke up in that moment, right? And that's what it means. There's a special gate. The Zohar says a special gate in Gan Eden that's open. A special gate in Shamayim that's open only in Ne'ilah. That's why you're only allowed to pray it once a year, and Yom Kippur. And in that moment, everyone's neshama is something open, something triggers. Even if you're far from Hashem, you just feel like total itpatlut, total like nullification towards Hashem, and your soul's jumping out of your body. And every person has that. Every person has that. The question is, can you wake it up? On Yom Kippur, definitely you can wake it up. Problem is that that as long as you're busy with worldly pleasures and things that are forbidden, then it covers it up. It's like a person who, like I told you many times, smokes. He doesn't know how to taste the food. The salt doesn't taste. You have to put a lot of salt on the food. Same thing over here. In order to be able to be, the more clean you are, on Yom Kippur, Hashem forgives us for everything. Like a lot of klipa is removed. We go to the mikveh today, we're removing a lot of the filth, and we're like, can you imagine a glass of milk, pure white, right after Yom Kippur? Question is, if you start adding sins and throwing in dirt and black stuff into the cups, then it starts getting clumpy and starts getting nasty. The question is, the cleaner your cup is, the more you'll feel in tune with your neshama. The dirtier it is, that's why your Sukkot, we have Shiva Ushpizin come, the holy guests. Why not any other time of the year? Is the holiest we are the entire year, that's why the guests can come. That's what they want to sit with us. So therefore we have to be careful. After Yom Kippur, keep it as holy and as clean as you can, your receptacle. That way you receive more. But when you clump up your cup and it's full with other things, there's no room for Hashem Chas Shalom, and you won't feel the connection. So we should zocheh to get forgiven and to be clean, to be pure, and to keep it. Whatever you did in Elul, whatever you did in Rosh Hashanah, whatever you did Yom Kippur, you should do that every single day of the year. It'd be just as clean. B'ezrat Hashem. Baruch Na'onam.